Welcome back to Windows Wednesday. And today we're not talking about something that's in Windows right now, but it's a feature they're working on and undoubtedly will be crammed inside of Windows in an upcoming season, I guess, for lack of a better word. And this is something that, in my opinion, is going to cause a little bit more of a dumbing down of society, which is probably in many ways where some folks, although not everybody, would like us to go. Today we are talking about Microsoft's AI agents. Thanks for checking out this video by Switch to Linux. If you like this type of content, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Leave us a like and a comment down below. And today we are going to get into this Microsoft AI agents and what this is. And actually it answers one of the questions about how Samsung is planning on removing an element that we talked about in the news a couple weeks ago. Of course, we chatted about Samsung Galaxy phones wanting to replace the settings app with the AI. And the way this would work is on your setting up your phone or at some point in time through it, you can just tell your phone what you would like to do. And then your phone's going to get in there and make all of the tweaks and adjustments for you, and you don't have to worry about going through this dangerously and cumbersome menu. In fact, it's kind of funny because as we talked about this and you know, how difficult it is to go through the settings menu, well, apparently it's getting harder and harder and harder because I know somebody just recently got a new Samsung phone, and it was like took over a day to get through all the settings and to find all the options and to configure the phone he wanted. Now, a lot of this was looking for specific widgets, so it wasn't necessarily the settings, but the settings component certainly had a part to play. But the idea is Samsung's like, we don't want you to have to go through all these encumbersome settings panels. You just tell your phone through the AI system what you like your phone to do. And by the phone knowing you and talking to you, your phone will adjust itself to your preferences. Now, I personally find this absolutely atrocious. I am not going to be talking to my phone to say, do this or do that. Now, they've gotten us so used to doing these to the point where I see a lot of people now clicking the button and talking into their phone to write a text message. And then it takes a little bit more time and you got to check the message. Maybe it takes a second. I don't know. Does it take more or less? I don't think it takes more time to write that. But the problem is that you're saying this into the phone and your phone systems, that data is going up to either your Apple account or your Google account, and they're storing voice samples and things like that. And that's a big problem. So yeah, you should probably get back to typing again. But we've kind of moved us in this direction to get us used to talking to everything. We're talking to the phone numbers that we call to route us through customer support. We're talking to our phones to send texts. Now they want us to talk to phones to adjust our settings. So how is Galaxy going to pull this off? Well, we see a little bit more information and in fact an open source project and a lot of fascinating details under the Microsoft AI agents. So what the AI agents is effectively small AI scripts which are utilizing voice samples and OCR in order to perform small tasks. And so ultimately they say, what if your Windows 11 PC could understand and perform tasks like a human? Well, I personally think that's a terrifying prospect. But for you that are like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. So what if you can just sit back at your desk and instead of actually typing stuff out, you just sit back at your desk and you got a microphone like mine here maybe, or maybe just a cheaper webcam microphone, something that's not as robust as what I might record a video with. And you just tell your computer, change my privacy settings to do not track, or write a document, and then you dictate a document like, you know, the old CEO would dictate to the secretary. It's kind of funny, right? You literally are paying a person to type what you dictate. Why don't you just sit your big butt down on the chair and type it yourself, you know? So obviously working on some elements of code can be difficult. And some people that are more knowledgeable about programming that I've heard their commentary on have said having the AI write the code takes as much, if not more time, maybe a little bit less mental power because you have to very closely check everything that the system did. But what they're doing is they're working on small tasks. And so it's small little things, but they have, I think, 150 of these now. Now, one of the things I found very curious about this is, as far as they're writing documents, they are not building their system right now to write documents in Microsoft Office. They're actually using LibreOffice. So there you go. So here's using an AI agent to turn on Do Not Track in Microsoft Edge for you. And so you can click this button here, and what it's going to do is you basically say, and the AI is going to, right before your eyes, pull up all of the menus, go right to the settings, and go ahead and switch off the Do Not Track options. So effectively, this is all stuff you can do yourself in the same amount of time it would take an AI system to do. So for me, this is like, I see this as dumbing us down further. You just say, do this, and you are going to lose the knowledge about how to go into your settings menu. It's kind of like if you have ever seen me do a video where we go into Chromium and try and do something in the settings. I don't know where everything is because I don't use Chromium in settings. Now, Firefox, I use the settings in Firefox quite a bit more. I'm a little bit more familiar with where and what everything is. I don't know Chromium. Well, this gets to the point where if we're not actually doing any of these things, we are going to be dumbed down even further on how these are. Furthering my idea that we don't have a society that is actually computer literate. They say this is the most tech-savvy generation ever. I disagree. I think we are the most tech-dumb society ever, because we have systems that we cannot actually control. We cannot actually do anything with. And now they're dumbing it down even further. This one goes ahead and installs a plugin into VS Code. So, of course, there is an open source version of VS Code called VS Codium. It just doesn't have all the Microsoft backends. But basically, you pull the system up, you click the plugins button, you search the extension, you install it. I don't think you need an AI for this, but what they're trying to do here is get your system to the point where you say something and you can do it. Now, this has a lot of positive for accessibility issues. So certainly that is certainly the case here. Here is make Bing. Oh, I love the technical stuff. Can you make Bing the main search thingy when I look for stuff? This is how it dumbs us down. We don't even know what a search engine is. In fact, oftentimes if you ask somebody what search engine you're using, they'll say Chrome. Well, Chrome's not a search engine. You say, what browser you use? Google. Well, Google's not a search engine. Okay. So people misunderstand the basic things that you open a web browser and you use a search engine. And this is the way this type of stuff dumbs us down further. Can you make Bing the main search thingy when I look stuff up on the internet? This is the type of imbeciles we are going to get if this becomes mainstream. And then, of course, an AI agent can modify VLC settings. To modify the folder used to store recordings. So again, you pull up VLC and you just make the system changes, but now the AI will do it for you. Open up Paint and draw a red circle, change the edge profile name. So there's a few other options that they have in there. Oh, change it to Thomas. Now they're getting personal. Don't change your edge name to Thomas. No, that's my name. You're not allowed to do that. Ugh. No, the AI is now getting personal. All right. So what is how does this basically work? What they're using is voice recognition, large language models, and screen reading and OCR with a little bit of programming to indicate what application is this and what are the systems that they are doing. So they said they have 150 different agency tasks, and these are those various tasks that they listed. So these are the things we should be impressed with. Save the paint image as circle.png in the downloads folder. If you need an AI to accomplish this, we got problems. Now, again, accessibility, this can be beneficial, but we're talking about, we're sitting here at our computer. We are now expending less calories than just typing. Like, typing at least expends a few calories. Now we're expending less calories. We're just monitoring the screen. Like brainless people, we may as well have those big hats, or maybe like Wall-E chairs, you know. We're all just getting all super fat, just consuming a Code Red Mountain Dew or something over here. Of course, you can check out my new book, Code Red, not related to Mountain Dew. You know, you're just sitting here sucking calories and talking, save the paint image as circle.png in the downloads folder. Now, even this is a problematic task because many people do not know what extensions are in file images. We actually went off on a 5-minute or so explanation of file types when I was at a writers conference. We're talking about saving the image of your book cover, right? People don't know the differences between a PNG or JPEG. They just say, save a picture. And so it's like, oh, what kind of picture? Then the AI will make the decision for us. And there you go. Change my desktop background to a solid color. Well, first, what type of psycho uses a solid color as a desktop background? I know, it's a joke, guys. It's a joke. How about turn off notifications for my system? Enable nightlight and set to 7 p.m. to sunrise. These are all tasks that are so simple to do that if we're relying on a system to do these for us, it becomes to the point where we forget to do the basic things, like change the sheet name, sheet 1 to Lars Science Assessment, sort list of employees according to their birthdays, fill in the sequence numbers, number 1 on the sequence number column. Enable do not track in Edge. Save this web page I'm looking at now. These are all tasks that take like a couple clicks on a keyboard. And now we want to speak into a microphone, let the AI system process it, run an OCR so the program can do it. Might actually take more time to do these things. My biggest concern is we lose the motion memory of how to do some of these basic computer tasks. And this moves us into a world where we are just talking with our computer for basic systems. Of course, this is just a document here about how it works. We have the agent here, which is taking the observations, running an evaluator. It can do tasks and scheduling, conflicting stuff. And of course, all this, they can do this locally on a Windows 11 machine, or they can do it in an Azure Linux cloud system where you can test multiple commands all at once. Now, as I said, this is an open source system here. So the Windows Agent Arena is evaluating multimodal OS agents at scale. So this is basically an open source environment by which you can test all of these different systems in. So what they actually found right now is there's a model here called Navi is the one that this particular research group is working with. It has a 19.5% success rate compared to 74.5% for human performance for doing basic tasks. So it's still doesn't even work 4 out of 5 times, but hey, at least it can get something right. So here's here's Office tasks, and note their activity examples in LibreOffice Writer. Editing and writing, LibreOffice Calc, spreadsheets, plotting, data manipulation. They have 43 various tasks in there. Web browsing, and they're using either Edge or Chrome. File systems, we have coding elements. They have work in VLC and then various Windows utilities. And they're just kind of talking about what their initial states are. The task instruction: can you help me clean up my computer by getting rid of all the tracking things that Amazon might have saved? I want to make sure my browsing is private and my sites don't remember me. Well, use Tor if you want to do that. But they can see here's the evaluation script. It's looking at cookie data, It's looking for the domains that are Amazon, and then it is going to delete it. So effectively, it is creating a small script which is going through your cookies and deleting everything related to Amazon.com. So that's a task. That's a reasonable task to look at. I've been editing my document, and some words need to be rewritten or highlighted in yellow. As I fix those words, please help me remove all highlight. I want to make sure there is no highlighted word. And you'll notice the picture here is LibreOffice. You may not be able to see the picture there, but it is LibreOffice in their picture. And so what they're doing is they're saying find everything that's highlighted and change it. So open up the envelope, which is file.doc. Golden file, get file, drive file, .doc, check highlighted words. So they're basically looking for the highlighted words. So some words need to be rewritten as are highlighted in yellow. So they're doing something with rewriting those words. And then here's some VS Code. Help me modify the settings of VS Code to keep my cursor focused on the debug console when debugging in VS Code instead of automatically focusing back on the editor. So this is actually a neat one where it's kind of keeping the mouse cursor in one specific place. Again, they just have how these things are working and all their various tests and things like that. So this is actually an open source project, but it leads us to information about how the system's going to work with effectively what Samsung's trying to do, where you can just talk to your system and it will manipulate all of the settings. So this is the blog post. This is the scalable open source framework to test and develop AI agents that can reason, plan, and act on a PC using various language models. Once again, this image here is very clearly LibreOffice. And then AI assistants like Copilot and ChatGPT have become useful tools to millions of users at home and at work, using large language models to help with tasks from debugging code all the way to brainstorming dinner recipes. As large language models become more capable, what should we expect from our AI assistants? At Microsoft, we are researching what it would take to develop the next wave of models which can not only reason, but also plan and act to help us. We are excited about the potential for AI agents to improve our productivity and software accessibility by being able to, for example, book vacations, edit documents, or file an expense report. So they talk here about what is a computer agent. Effectively, it's a small script of code which accomplishes a task. And what can they do today? They're talking about as of right now, they tested multiple models for screen understanding and reasoning on Windows Agent Arena. So far, they have 19.5% success of tasks, no points for partial completion, while a human scores 74.5% without external help. We find a large variance between domains, with approximately 1/3 of browser settings and video tasks successful, while most Office tasks fail. So LibreOffice tasks do not succeed as much, whereas basic computer systems are succeeding. And what they thought down here was an interesting one, is responsible AI and ethical considerations, because this really is the core of it. We understand, if you're paying attention anyway, you see that as AI is unleashed on the world, it is not good enough to use in the medical applications as promised, but it is way better than they used to be at getting people to fall for a phishing scam or some form of issue. We find that it is not good enough to use in a court document, court cases, or things like this that require that amount of work, but AI can be used to abuse and scam and harm people more than anything else. Even right now, I'm dealing with an issue where I had actually written a contact form that for the longest time, AI was not able to get around. And as of right now, AI is getting around my contact forms. Contact forms are dead on the internet because of AI. We can no longer build a website and leave a way for people to reach us because they are just overwhelmed by spam, even if we take every single approach we can possibly take. reCAPTCHA, systems broke reCAPTCHA a couple years ago. The best thing that has been working lately is honeypots. Right now, it would appear that they're getting around honeypots. I might actually look into experimenting with like a double honeypot or something and see if they get around that, or just a constantly evolving system. But the challenge is that AI has been used far more for abusive purposes than for practical purposes. So they have this section here talk about responsible AI and ethical considerations. As we design and improve AI agents to perform complex tasks on computers, it is essential to operate within a framework of ethical guidelines and responsible AI use. You see, the ethics only applies to people who follow ethics. Unscrupulous people don't follow ethics. Okay, this is why things like no gun zones don't work. You keep the lawful citizen from carrying a gun into a no-gun zone, and the criminal goes in. He's already planning on committing a crime. He's not going to turn around because the sign says you're not allowed to bring a gun in here. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, criminals don't care about your laws. You can't make laws. You can't say, well, we have to make sure this falls only in the hands of ethical people. We have ethical systems. That only works if you're dealing with ethical people. When we don't have ethical people, and in the way I believe, people are inherently sinful. If people are inherently sinful, it takes an overwhelming amount of effort to be ethical. which is possible. Yes. There are good people in the world. Yes. There are people who will not use these systems illegally. Yes. But think about the wonderful movie Shawshank Redemption, where he creates a person out of nowhere. Was it Randall Stevenson? I think it was. He creates this guy out of nowhere, and he's talking to Red and says, well, who is he? He says, he doesn't exist. He's a figment of my imagination. He's like, you can't just create a person. He says, sure you are, if you know where the cracks in the system are. And then he says to Red, he says, but when I was outside of the prison cell, I was straight and narrow. I would never even think about using these things. I had to come to prison to be the criminal. Okay. And that's the problem we have, is that we have a framework of people that are seeking out get-rich-quick schemes that are not ethical people. They are not scrupulous people. They are people that are going to use every system available to scam anybody and everybody they can. They're going to use it to incessantly annoy people. They're going to use it to DDoS people. They're going to use it to cause irreparable harm on society by unleashing this stuff. You can't just create this system, which has the capabilities of doing full-fledged OCR, scanning, reading, and doing a bunch of data, and say, you can only use this if you're doing it ethically and morally. Don't be breaking any laws here, folks. The world doesn't work that way. They further say privacy and safety are paramount concern. As research groups develop and test these models, we must ensure AI agents do not engage in any form of unauthorized access or information leak of personal information, thus minimizing potential security risks. We believe that users should be able to easily understand, direct, and override the actions of the AI when necessary. Well, how can I override your AI nonsense in a Samsung Galaxy phone if you've removed the settings panel and replaced it with AI, forcing me to talk to it? And I got news for you. The average person is not going to understand any of this stuff. You start throwing it. In fact, there was, I believe it was a Mental Outlaw video this week, talked about Microsoft cramming the AI into the computers at one point in time, and saying, the average person doesn't want this. It doesn't need this. It is an unnecessary thing. If I go into the search menu on the computer stuff, if I just hit my Windows key and search for something, implicit in that is I'm looking for something on the computer, but what does it do? It goes out to the internet, and it even goes out there and does some things related to AI related searches. We think you might be looking for this. No, if I wanted to search the internet, I would have opened a web browser. Okay, people don't understand this. And as you start doing AI tasks that remove the simplest of tasks, people will not understand the greater tasks that need to be done. This is a danger to society more than it is a help. Call me a Luddite if you want, but this is not going to help the world continue on. And they continue, as we continue our work in this exciting arena, we remain committed to building AI technologies that respect user privacy, promote fairness, and contribute positively to society. You cannot contribute positively to society when society overwhelmingly will look for the negative way to use it. You can create it with the best intentions of the world. There are always bad actors. Now, does this mean we do not do anything? We just sit back in the Stone Age because somebody might do something bad? No, we don't. We have to have some degree of progress. But my biggest problem with a lot of this stuff is not that they're working on it, but that it is foisted upon us. That is the problem. I don't want anything to do with this AI nonsense. I do not want it. Do not foist your AI crap upon me. My concern is they get these basic tasks working, they integrate this in, and before you know it, our settings panel in Windows gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and you're just told, like when you call the phone number up, tell us in quick sentences what you want to do. And then you will have no control over your computer anymore, and you don't know what in the world's going on in the background. So how do we balance all this out? Well, honestly, I don't have a ton of solutions other than maybe we shouldn't be jumping so full-fledged into a lot of these things this quickly. That's probably the best approach, is to not be spending so much time doing this, especially saying this is just for positive. In other words, we need to have safeguards and safe checks implemented into it. And all this stuff needs to be optional for people. Now, yeah, if you're creating it, scammers are going to get it. We have to have a way to work around it. This is where we need to focus on finding some solutions to prevent it from being abused. I don't have good answers for that right now, but we need to figure that out before we move into this. It's kind of like right now I'm actually reading the book, The New Digital Age by Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google. And as you read through it, what's really hilarious is a lot of things that they talked about in that book as like, in the future, we're going to be able to do this. And a lot of those things that they're talking about, this book is 10 years old now, are coming to true. But it's the most negative aspects of these things are coming true. Maybe eventually I'll do a video and I'll highlight what some of those things are. I think that would be an interesting look at what they thought would be a cool thing 10 years ago. Would be a neat video. But anyway, all this to mention that they're cramming all these basic systems into us in such a way that we may not be able to turn back quick enough if a safeguard is not in place. Because if the only thing you're relying on is we have ethics and morals, if you have so much ethics and morals, Microsoft, why can I not turn off my computer from connecting to your servers at all? I should have 100% control. And the fact I do not have 100% control of when my computer goes on the internet and what data is transmitted to your company servers, you're not operating in an ethical standard anyway. Because ethically and morally, I do not want any communication between my computer and you. That is why I am on Linux now. Okay, I didn't leave Windows because I thought Windows sucked on a technical level. I left Windows because I want my privacy respected. And that means I do not want my system specs or when I'm turning on my computer or what software I'm using or what files are on there making their way on up to Microsoft servers. How dare these people sit here and talk about privacy and safety are paramount concerns. We must test these models to ensure that we don't have any form of unauthorized access. You're already taking unauthorized access when you're collecting my system specs and my computer usage and putting them on your servers. You are already unethical. You are already immoral. You are already unscrupulous. You are what these people you're saying we can't let this bad stuff happen. You already are that. We have to switch to Linux in order to avoid our systems connecting to these servers. Yes, there's ways you can block that, but on Linux, I don't have to spend hours setting up scripts and then resetting up scripts after an update to prevent my system from connecting to your servers. I'm going to make do with what I got. That's my thought today. Let me know what your thought is on Microsoft's AI agents. Are you a user of them or not? And I understand there's applications for it, especially the accessibility angle is definitely a good application. We definitely need a little bit more of that. But with that, let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Leave us some thoughts and some ideas you have. Feel free to give this video here a like and subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. With that, thanks for watching and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.